Restoration Dominators, what's going on? Rico Garcia here. Another exciting episode. This is what we're going to be talking about today. If you're looking to go ahead and grow your business, if you're looking to expand your business, if you want more profitable water mitigation jobs, if you want more commercial jobs, you're not going to want to miss this. But before we dive into the podcast, let me just give a quick shout out to our show sponsors, starting with CNR Magazine, which, by the way, if you haven't gotten your subscription yet, really easy. Just head on over to cnrmagazine.com, upper right-hand corner of the screen, smash that red button, go ahead and put in your information, and boom, you're ready to rock and roll. Now you've got your finger on the pulse of what's happening in our industry. Also, a big shout out to Impartial, huge shout out to Surety, which we will talk more about them a little bit later. Now, let me tell you about today's guest. Actually, this is a repeat of another interview that we did earlier on in the year, and maybe some of you recall, which is One Tom Plumber. We're joined by Kameron and Rocky, and it's such an amazing, last time that we had this interview, I was really excited about the opportunity that they were bringing to the industry. These people have really got a system dialed in. And now, several months later, we decided to go ahead and bring them back on the show to talk about what's been changing in their business. They've signed a lot more restoration companies up into their franchise. And I got to tell you, it's been super, super impressive to see the kind of results that restoration business owners have been getting. And we do a deep dive into all aspects of the business, and more importantly, like what it means for you as a restoration business owner to go ahead and get your piece of the pie, like how you can get into the action. And in my opinion, I think that this is a solution to a lot of people's issues in a restoration industry. If you're looking to do less TPA work, if you're trying to get away from program work, if you're looking to crack the code on commercial work, if you want more residential work, if you just want to add more water mitigation projects to your existing water mitigation company, I think that this is a solution for a lot of individuals out there. So make sure that you grab a pen, sheet of paper, go ahead and take some notes, pay close attention, because these people, in my opinion, have really ironed out the details and cracked the code as a bolt-on to your existing business. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the interview. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
What is going on, Dominators? And yeah, really excited for this interview. We have a couple of guests here that have been with us before, and I really was excited about putting them back onto the show. Just to give us some updates, I've kind of been a fly on the wall trying to figure out like what's been going on, and just wanted to hear directly from the horse's mouth, if you will. And without further ado, Kameron, Rocky, welcome to the show. Are you ready to help us dominate?
Oh, yeah. What's up, Rico?
What's up? All right, cool. Do me a favor, guys. For those that may have missed our previous podcast, maybe they're not familiar with the One Tom Plumber name. They haven't heard of Kameron. They haven't heard of Rocky. Give us like the quick intro, fill in some of the gaps on my intro so you can let everybody know who you are and what you've done.
Yeah, so what we are is we are a bolt-on service plumbing company for restoration companies. So the whole concept is that emergency service plumbing causes water damages. So it's just an additional bolt-on and revenue generator that hopefully really drastically increases the marketing funnel for those water damages.
And for those that are listening and are not, that don't have the luxury of video, just so you can match the voice with the name, that was Kameron that was speaking.
Yep. And I'm Rocky. And this is very much a commercial play. It's if you want to decrease your dependency on TPAs and large loss rebuilds, or just increase your footprint on the water damage side, this is what that One Tom Plumber brand is what helps you do that. And it's been working phenomenally.
That's awesome. Now, give us a little bit of background, Rocky. Like you didn't just, you weren't always a plumber. You weren't always in the plumbing business, right? Like you've actually got real world experience in the water mitigation side. So for our tribe, our dominators out there, let's give them some context as to your experience in the water mitigation side of things.
Well, started Icon Property Rescue in 2004. So I've been in the restoration business for going on, almost where to say 18 years. So love the restoration business, built and sold some other businesses along the way. Stayed in the restoration business because I love the chaos of the business. I love the networking of it. I love the guys, the brothers in the restoration business. We just all seem to be pretty much cut from the same cloth. So that's just always been a passion of mine.
Awesome.
So,
Cool.
And as we know, the profit, most of the profits on the water damage side. So it's all about doing what we can to bring in as much water damage as possible. That's what helps the business grow, buy the trucks and pay the salaries. And from my perspective.
Yeah, no, exactly. So last time you guys were on the show, how many franchises more or less did you already have sold back then?
I think we were at 10 and I think we had 2 that we had scheduled to sign at that time.
Right. So as of right now on the horizon, I mean, how much growth have you seen? And mind you, like this was this year, I believe that we had you on the show. So what's been the difference? Like how many more franchises have you welcomed on board?
Well, it's just like packing a snowball. I mean, at the time we talked to you, we were just rolling the snowball down the hill. And at this point in time, we're at 28. To put it in perspective, we went into last year hoping to do 5, and we ended up adding 18 franchises. So it's been crazy. In fact, at one point in time last year, we stopped selling from April 1st to June 20th. We stopped talking to people just because the growth, honestly, was so explosive. We had to scale. We had to take care of the people that had signed, get them up and going properly. We've added a virtual plethora of staff that have helped us grow, cross the T's, dot the I's, get these guys up and profitable as quickly as possible. The guys and girls. We've got 3 women owners.
Nice. It's always good to see more and more women in the restoration arena, right? Adding that, feminine touch, that way of looking at things, which is always amazing in our arena. And actually, I have one of your franchisees was actually on the show recently, Ramiro, and he was recently on the show. We spoke a little bit about his experience with that. So we spoke recently, briefly about that, and as a real life testimonial, like he was just over the moon excited about, working with you guys and bolting this onto his existing business. So, obviously with that kind of growth, like you guys are getting a lot of feedback consistently from restoration companies. What's the kind of feedback that you guys are getting? What's getting, water mitigation companies excited? What's getting them hot and bothered? Like when they first are exposed to the opportunity, like what is the one thing that you see is just making it click in their heads and they're like, oh man, of course they got to do this.
Yeah, commercial. And here's the thing. I mean, any restoration company that's out there and they're trying to get commercial business in the door, it's really hard because a lot of the people, the Cushmans of the Wakefield, the CBR, Richard Ellis's, they might only need you once a year. But when they need you, they need you. I mean, it could be a multi-story flood, et cetera. With the One Tom Plumber brand, they need plumbing weekly. So it helps you stay in the door, helps keep those relationships going. Plus, the plumbing side's actually, from a percentage standpoint, more profitable than even water. So it's kind of a twofer. But the great thing about the residential side is that, especially on the plumbing side, it's cash flow. You walk out the door with a check that day, and if there's pipes busted, a refrigerator line, clogs, drains, anything like that, chances are you've got a water damage coming in behind it. So it's once someone comes here, sees what we're doing, sees what we're all about, it's a rare day that someone, in fact, I don't know if it's even happened yet, where someone didn't want to be part of what we're trying to build here from a restoration continuity across the country.
So one of the things that comes to mind, because again, I know that there's like a lot of naysayers out there, and as entrepreneurs, we are all kind of up to our eyeballs in, in our current businesses, right? So a lot of people, what I feel, and I can kind of hear it in the back of my head, I can hear them say was like, dude, I need to get this thing dialed in first, or I need to get this bigger first. This is just going to take away from, this new venture is going to take away from the opportunities that I have here. So, but that's just not the case, right? Like you guys have some real story on how One Tom Plumber, right? This additional franchise, this bolt on, how that's actually enhancing existing businesses. So can you kind of expand on that a little bit and kind of, kick the naysayers down a little
Great
bit?
question.
Yeah, I mean, really, when it started, that was the whole concept. When we first started, we just offered emergency service plumbing and didn't do any service plumbing at all. And then we had all these people asking us to start telling us they got better service at 3 a.m. than they were getting from their existing plumber at 3 p.m. So we did some math and figured out, just how profitable service plumbing as a whole is. But really, we've built the business from the ground up. For example, Rocky owns 2 locations here in Cincinnati and Dayton. And have you been on a plumbing job before?
I've been on one plumbing job the whole time, 4.5 years in.
So the whole point is we do weekly audits of our franchisees. Now, as a franchise, we cannot manage the general manager on behalf of the owner, but we can train them, we can audit them, we can give the owner all the tools and everything they need. So all they would have to do was manage one employee and then handle all of the water damage that business generates.
Yeah, because we need the owner completely and utterly focused on their restoration business because of the water damage that's going to hopefully, and has been the case, walk in the door once they get up the plumbing company up and going.
So as a general rule, do you guys have some data on how much water damage is your average franchisee, how much water damage revenue they've seen an increase in? Do you guys have any data on that?
Question. And we keep onboarding people almost monthly. So it's really hard to get those averages per city. But I can tell you that the most that anyone's brought in a year to this point is 2.4 million.
And this is additional revenue,
yes. Yep.
above what their average was on water mitigation, right?
Yes.
So this is not the one. And again, even for myself, just to clarify, this is not One Tom Plumber profits, right? They're plumbing profits. Right. This is above and beyond on their water mitigation business, money that they would have never had access to. Correct?
Yeah, there was over 4 million in water for that particular company, and 2.7 of it was a direct result of what they got from One Tom Plumber making the phone ring for them. That's
amazing. That's amazing. So now, obviously, I'm sure that there's like a lot of people that are listening right now. They're like, "Holy shit! Okay, that's nothing to shake a stick at." Like, that's like some real money there. And of course, like, your results may be a little bit different. Like, okay, fine, all of that disclosure stuff, right? Because that's an isolated incident. Maybe city, who knows, right? But now, what about the opposite side, right? Now, did that person operate One Tom Plumber, the plumbing side? Were they operating at a loss in order to have a win on the water mitigation side, or were they also profitable on the plumbing side?
Yeah, I want to say they were at 28% net profit, give or take. So the plumbing side is highly profitable.
Yep. Right. As an industry, as a franchise in the industry, last year our franchises had a net profit of 28% average. I feel a little bad because we were only at 26% net profit. So we actually brought the average down from our other franchises. It's because I guess we have to do the billboards and the other stuff so that they have the inventory of that when they need it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's extremely profitable.
Right. So, and that's kind of like the picture that I'm trying to paint, right? So that way people understand, like, okay, why this is such a huge opportunity. And it's still enough in the early stages, right? To where it's not an overly saturated model, right? This is kind of what we call, That difference between the red ocean and the blue ocean, like for all those
Mhm.
marketers out there kind of understand that concept, right? Like, once there's already been a lot of blood in the water, like it's tough for you to break into a market with a new model and everything else. But when there's relatively low competition and there's this new business model out there that bolts onto what you are currently doing, it's a no-brainer. Like it totally makes sense. So, and that's the picture that I really want to paint for people. And this is why, I'm so impressed with you guys' business model and
That's high
the
praise.
and the attention to detail that you guys have brought to your business and to the franchise's business is what's really amazing to me. Like you guys have left no stone unturned. You guys have really dug into the numbers. You're really understanding, each and every single line item, if you will, service line item to say, hey, look, is this what we want our franchises to be doing? Is this profitable for them? Are they going to be slitting their own throats from a profit perspective? If they do this, okay, well, let's get this off the table, and then providing all of that training to them, which kind of leads me to, the next question, I guess, which is, I'm not a plumber. I know how to do water mitigation. I know how to dry out a building. I know how to do mold remediation. Like that, we could do that stuff all day, every day. But plumbing, like what's that? So like,
That's a great question.
how do I even crack the code on plumbing? Do I need to crack the code on plumbing?
So I think that's everyone's biggest concern when we talk to. But when you really think about it, you're almost in the exact same business. You're in the sales and you're in the customer service business. It really is just a different product. Unfortunately, plumbing, when we do service plumbing, we're not remodeling skyscrapers. This isn't brain surgery. We're taking exactly what's there, we're cutting it back, and we're putting it identical to how it was. So for example, here in Cincinnati, I want to say we've got 15 plumbers. When we first started, we started with 3 guys, and those 3 guys have trained everyone. Since it's not rocket science, you can take someone with a great attitude, a willingness to learn, and a good work ethic, and get them in a truck rocking and rolling in 3 months.
Yep. We call them the 20 percenters. And everybody's like, 20 percenters? Yeah, well, just like anything else, 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the plumbers. So what we're trying to do is teach you how to hire personalities and bring them in here, and we train them up and then send them back to you, and then you finish the training process. But if you don't have someone that be rocking and rolling, has the personality to learn and do the kind of plumbing that we do, which is the service plumbing, within 60 to 90 days, that they're not the right person for you.
And actually, I think that's why we've been so successful, where your typical plumbing companies found someone with the plumbing skills and then tried to teach them the attitude, the work ethic, the customer service, the stuff like that, where if we hire someone with already that has those soft skills and now all they have to learn is plumbing, we've found that it's actually a much faster process.
Yep. And you get the plumber that you want, not, everybody out there has hired the wrong people, in the sense that they brought a lot of bad habits into their company, thinking that they could break their bad habits. That's a really, really hard thing to do. So we want to build someone from the ground up. And we've got, like you said, you're buying a system, and we're very systematic about how we do that.
And also, you guys have been very, very selective also about who becomes part of the one-time plumber, family, if you will. Like you guys, it's not just about whether or not if you have the financial wherewithal to stroke what, in my opinion, I think, and of course we'll get into this, my opinion, what I feel is a relatively insignificant check in order to be part of this. There's really not a whole lot of overhead, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, so that way people have some clarity on that. But it's not about their financial wherewithal. It's really more about, are they a good fit for the brand, and are they going to be executing things in a way that represents the One Tom Plumber brand, and if they have that ability. So it's not just about the money. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, it is. And actually, to expand on what you just said, because you actually said that perfectly, but we're also trying to build a network across the country of restoration companies, and that also are going to represent the brand with the national brands like the Cushman Wakefield's, the CBR, Richard Ellis's, because we do want to do those national contracts. So it's about bringing the right person in and the right company in that is going to service customers the right way. And we're huge on networking. We want the guy from like Ramiro from Chicago networking with our franchise in Atlanta or our franchise in San Antonio, Greenville, South Carolina. We want them all helping each other, talking to each other, not only to build One Tom Plumber brand, but also their restoration company. And as you know, Zig Ziglar always said, if you ain't networking, you ain't working. So we're huge on networking. So that's what makes it paramount to bring in the right companies and the right people with the right mindset so that we can do a national brand.
That's awesome. So let's talk real quick about, so let's just assume for a second that, okay, cool, this is really clicking with people, all the dominators out there that are just legitimately looking to crush the market. They're aggressive entrepreneurs. They want to go at, a bigger piece of the pie. They're like, you know what, this totally makes sense, right? I'm already doing water mitigation. There's this, how do I get more commercial jobs? If they want to get away from a little bit more of the program work, like how do we do that? Okay, well, this makes sense as a vehicle. How am I going to generate more leads, right? How am I going to get, my foot in the door using One Tom Plumber without having to, develop an entirely new marketing campaign and, hiring brand new marketing companies and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and talk about that. But before we do that, let's just go a quick moment and thank our sponsors. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. How would you like to increase productivity? How would you like faster claims resolution? And more importantly, how would you like to reduce litigation? Well, this is exactly what Impartial allows you to do. Impartial creates timely, accurate estimates for faster and fair claim settlement. Building upon Matterport's technology, the Impartial Scope tool extracts the relevant data embedded with pre-mitigation and post-mitigation scans and subsequently renders an exactimate or assemblability estimate that can be approved by a carrier without any hesitation. The magic here is that the software helps contractors generate mitigation and repair estimates for more rapid approval from insurance carriers while removing the burdensome administrative process. Each Impartial estimate is produced with objective accuracy using immersive 3D imagery and precise physical and geospatial measurements. Impartial, in my opinion, is one of those tools that simply can go ahead and change your business. And with so many features such as impartial tags, timestamp matter tags, the ability to upload JPEG, PNG, ESX, and so much more. Impartial is that software that could genuinely change your business. Make sure that you check them out in the video description below or in the show notes and see for yourself. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. Have policyholders struggled to come up with your money because it's held with the mortgage company? Or does the percentage of uncollected debt that you collected in 2021 exceed over 2.5%? Or even better, let me ask you this. Do you dread negotiating with your policyholder when it comes time to collect your final payment and deductible? So look, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to check out Surety. You see, Surety is a third-party fund control company. And what they do is they ensure that you get paid faster and, more importantly, completely for the hard work that your crews are doing. Surety relieves not only the policyholder, but you of tremendous administrative burden while ensuring that the claims process, and more importantly, the proceeds flow via ACH to the rightful owner, you, the restorer. And here's the best part. For less than the average credit card fee, Surety delivers on numerous fronts. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to learn more about how Surety can help you, I want you to head on over to www.surety.com/dominate and request a free demo today. Now listen, Restoration Domination listeners just like you are going to receive a really cool offer, and here it is. You're going to receive an exclusive offer which includes free processing for the first insurance claims check and 3 months of free access within their network. Again, that's Surety, SURETI.com/dominate. All right, Dominators, and we're back. So where we left off was, great, you've got the buy-in, like you're ready to rock and roll. concept makes sense. I mean, it's ironclad, right? You're ready to rock and roll. But now the one question, right? Like the mental objection that you may be having is, it's like, okay, how do I don't have time to market an entirely new business. Well, I think this is where the genius of Kameron and Rocky and the One Time Plumber team have really, come into fruition. So Kameron, talk to us about that. How is it that you guys are currently getting the phone ringing for your new franchisees?
Yeah, so we put a lot of thought and work into this. It's probably the most important thing because we can train your people. You guys can be wizards on the phone. You can convert a lot of your jobs and have high profit margins. But if the phone's not ringing, you're not going to do very well. So we really have a two-part approach. So when it comes to residential, it's all about Google. So we do all of the SEO and everything in-house. And we're extremely successful. That'll take you from 0 to 4 plumbers typically. The smaller markets, it may be 2. And then the other part of that is going to be commercial sales.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the commercial sales, we actually bring in your salespeople and we put them in a car, teach them how to hunt here we've got multiple $2 million a year producers that all right. So, okay, great question. What we do is we bring them in, we train them. There's some classwork on the One Time Plumber brand. We actually put them in a vehicle with multiple $2 million plus producers. We send them back, let them learn your market, and then we actually put them on a plane and bring our marketers to you and teach them how to hunt for the large loss commercial in your specific area.
And that's part of the key, right? Because you can go ahead and have a training video, and that's great. And I can be, such an amazing closer, and I can be a great prospector, and I can be charismatic and all of that stuff. But there is always something to be said about getting yourself, getting really, really close to a, not only a $1 million producer, which is insane in any business, but now all of a sudden you have multi-million-dollar producers, several of them, that are not only taking your people under their wing, and they're saying, hey, look, watch this. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. This is psychology behind how I'm doing it. And more importantly, what they really get is they don't get just the training on that. What they get is the confidence, the believability that it's possible for them because they're watching it firsthand, right? People that are closing millions of dollars in business, because you can conceptualize this to somebody, but if you don't show them that a real life human being is actually doing it, and then on top of that, they're actually going out with them and saying, this is how we're doing it, check this out, right? Like showing someone that they could actually achieve it, totally different game.
They're actually, and like we said, they're actually in the car. We've got multiple producers that are doing $2 million a year plus for Icon. They're bringing that much business in the door, but they actually come to your market and teach them hands-on how to hunt. They start out walking in for them, and then by the time they leave, it transitions to where your people are actually doing the hunting, and they're just critiquing and training and making sure they've got the confidence to walk in the door and can sell your restoration and plumbing company to a high level.
Yeah, that's really amazing, man. I mean, just that kind of hands-on training. I mean, from an owner's perspective, you're like, okay, great. So what do I got so far? So far, what I've got is I've got the system that's already been built out. These people have already done the research. They've really dug into the data to know what the most profitable aspects of plumbing should be, how I'm going to generate that plumbing revenue into water mitigation revenue and everything else that may be attached to that aspect of the business. We've got the leads that are taken care of. We've got our people, we've got our company that's going to have a digital presence, because you have an entire team on the back end working on my digital presence through Google. So I don't even have to go out of my way now to hire a quote unquote marketing guru to market this whole new business. You guys are taking care of that. On top of that, my people are going to be trained by multi-million-dollar producers. All right, cool. So then when you guys leave, all that's going to be taken care of. The business is being audited. What'd you say? Every week, right?
Yep.
Like every week you guys are getting together with management. Like you're saying, okay, you're basically keeping the finger on the pulse of my brand new franchise. You're making sure that my baby's going to live through this thing.
Yep.
Basically.
And that goes for 4 to 6 months. And then
Right.
it goes to biweekly and up to a year biweekly. And then after a year, it's once a month unless people need more. But we're constantly there 24/7 for questions. But it does even get better than that, Rico. I feel like a little bit of a car salesman here, but we actually bring in your dispatcher.
But that's not all, folks.
Yeah, that's it. We also bring in the dispatcher, set them at a desk, show them how to dispatch, so that you're closing the phone calls and dispatching at a high rate. We also bring in the general manager, and then every plumber comes in for a week, gets in the car, gets in the vehicle, and so we're big on training and building a brand from the inside out.
Which is amazing. So let's talk about, like, all of this sounds great, right? Like, and it seems like a no-brainer, but now the one thing that we haven't spoken about, and this is maybe where, all of a sudden things become less attractive, maybe depending on what your answer is, how quickly can someone expect to become profitable doing this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, and that's the question everyone wants to know the answer to. So the goal is to be cash flow positive every single month over month from the get-go, and then to recoup that initial investment as quick as possible. Right now, the fastest anyone's done that has been just a little bit under 10 months, but it's normally about the year mark.
That's insane. I mean,
Yes, crazy.
yeah, that's insane. Like, I mean, do you guys have data on any other like franchises on typically like how, the year mark seems insane to recoup an initial investment. Like that doesn't happen in a lot of businesses. Like it doesn't happen like a whole lot, period.
Yeah. To be truthful, we didn't know that it was going to be this quick. Okay.
Right.
But it's also why when people come in, kick the tires, see what we're doing, we call it the Discovery Day, where you discover everything. We open up, literally let people see our trucks, talk to the plumbers, talk to everybody, show them the dollars. And how much money it brings in from a water damage standpoint. It's been monumental. And again, that's why we had to literally stop selling these things to catch our breath and get caught up, because every single person to the man or woman that we brought in has wanted it. But to your earlier point, we've turned down almost 40% for one reason or another, because you get the entire city or area, other than like Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, places like that. That's why we're so particular about who we on board, because you're going to get the entire city. Like San Antonio, Crown Restoration is a great example. They own that entire city because we want those businesses, again, the Cushmans, the CBR Richard Ellis's, to know them as a brand in the entire city.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. I mean, outside of that, I know that we were talking off camera a little bit about a new program also that you're just as an added benefit about, continued sales management program. Can we talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. One of the biggest problems and pain points that our franchisees as a restoration business has had is, in order to get the commercial accounts, everybody knows you got to bring in a relationship coordinator, sales assassin, somebody that's going to go out and talk to the property managers, the apartment complexes, the retirement communities, anybody and everybody that may send you water damage business, municipalities, et cetera. Well, mostly you're talking about 1 to 2 salespeople. It's impossible financially to hire a sales manager to manage 1 or 2 salespeople. So it usually falls on the owner. Well, most owners are like me. They've got a million things going on, and it made it almost impossible to manage salespeople. So it was a huge, huge bottleneck and a pain point for the owners. So what we've done is we've sat down, we've talked to the owner franchises that we have, and put a program together where we'll literally, starting January 9th, be doing the sales management portion for them, and making sure they still have to manage the people. So that's maybe the wrong term, but what they are going to be doing is we're going to give them the KPIs they need to manage the people. And if they're not producing, and we'll tell them why and what they need to do to change. But if they are producing, tell them what they need to do more of to keep building the brand.
That's awesome. So, which obviously is a huge relief for any business owner. Because like you said, I mean, one or two, salespeople, you're like, oh man, it's almost mentally, even if the numbers make sense, sometimes it's just a mental hurdle to
Mhm.
plug in a sales manager just for one or two people. So of course, most business owners are like, oh, well, I guess this is on me, right? So to be able to
Mhm.
have like this extension of the organization to be like, hey, look, here's a training program. We'll go ahead and kind of, hold your people accountable. It's a huge relief from an owner perspective, correct?
Yeah, and it was something that I needed desperately. I had actually used a company that was based out of Canada to do this for me at one time or another. So we took a lot of the things that we liked about what they did. We took a lot of feedback from our franchisees on what they were looking for, what they wanted, and we put it together. And we're going live January 9th of this year.
Beautiful. All right. So then one of my last questions, I guess, here, because it seems like we've covered pretty much all of our bases, is, let's talk about startup cost, right? I love what you guys are doing as a business owner. I'm a restoration business owner. This totally makes sense. I want to try to get away from, a little bit of the program work. I want to find a way not only to get more residential mitigation work, but also I want to start getting my foot in the door with a lot more commercial work. This just seems like a natural way for me to go ahead and do so. Everything else makes sense. What about the money? Like, how much is this going to cost me? Am I going to have to sell my firstborn child, or, sell an arm and a leg? Like, what's this costing me?
Yeah, so we're pre-approved with the SBA, so 80% of it can be financed. But out of the gate, it really depends on what size market you're in. If you're in a teeny market like Fargo, you may be as little as 200,000, and then the larger markets, you're around the $400,000 mark.
And that's not cash out of pocket. That's most of it's trucks, equipment, everything that can be financed. We've found that with probably less than $100,000 in cash, you can get these up and going in almost any market.
Yeah, and the reason why our trucks are more expensive is right now we're the only true emergency service plumbing franchise. So let's say, for an example, a homeowner or an apartment calls and says they had a water main break or a sewer line clog. We're able to go out at 3 a.m. without having to wait till the supply house to open at 8 a.m. to get that fixed. That way, they think of us as the emergency guys, not only because emergency plumbing is extremely profitable, but because we want the water or sewer damage that generates.
Yep. And when we first started, Rico, that was pretty much what we did. Now about 80% of our business is actually scheduled. So they still think of us as the emergency guys. They still call us, but we're able to schedule most of our work now, which is phenomenal. So we're getting those really emergency prices on scheduled work.
So can you break that down? Like, what does that mean on scheduled work? I mean, I understand the whole emergency concept, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, you're the guy, right? But now we're talking about scheduled work. Like, define that a little bit more, like paint by numbers for me.
Yeah, so every plumbing issue anyone has is somewhat of an emergency unless it's a remodel, but we don't do remodels anyways. We do service work where something's broken and we fix it. What we mean when we say scheduled work is we'll get the call sometime during that day and we'll do it that same day or early the next day.
Got it.
Like, let's say your toilet broke. Usually you have 2 or 3 toilets in your house, okay? So you call, it's 10 o'clock at night, we'll schedule it up for the next day. Because there is a fee for us coming out that night. So unless there's an emergency as far as water damage, something like that, or in some apartment complexes where there is only one toilet, one sink, one anything, then it would be a true emergency at that point, unless there's a water damage, obviously.
That's awesome. So let's dig a little bit deeper, because again, anybody who's listened to the show understands that I am a huge believer in marketing, in all aspects of marketing, whether that's digital or whether that's physical marketing. Marketing is the lifeblood of any business, right? You could be the absolute best plumber, you could be the best mitigation guy. It doesn't matter if the phone's not ringing. It's not even worth talking about, right? So we spoke about briefly about how you guys are really spearheading the SEO, type of digital presence for your franchisees. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Are you helping the mitigation companies market their business while marketing the One Tom Plumber brand? Are you marketing only One Tom Plumber, and then as default, they're kind of the mitigation side of the business stands to win because of that? Like, give me some more clarity on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you nailed it. So on the SEO standpoint, just to make things as easy for the owners as possible and to allow them to focus on the water damage, we do absolutely everything, including train their plumbers on how to get reviews and their people on how to answer and respond to those leads. So we don't actually do the SEO for the restoration company, but they will get water damage from our SEO.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things too, from talking from the restoration standpoint, we weren't really that great at the SEO piece for the Icon property rescue side. Kameron has a team and they follow all these KPIs. I don't understand it all, but that Google puts in place. And the one thing I do know is that we're number one in every measurable in nationally and in our local markets that we're in right now. But what it's helped me with from the restoration side is I've taken a similar approach that they have. Some of the from the little twerks and quirks and things like that, given it to our SEO company and said, I need you to do it this way. And it's helped us immensely. Just little adjustments that I found out through the One Tom Plumber side of things that's helped my restoration company get a heck of a lot more SEO leads coming in the door.
I love it. And you guys focusing also on like the Google business listing, like, the actual like map pack type of aspect, as well?
Yeah. So when it comes to the SEO on the plumbing side, it actually looks a lot different. I've talked to you about this before. I know you're extremely familiar with SEO, but just for the guys who aren't, what they're doing is they're slowly phasing out pay-per-click. When I first started, it would have like maybe 4 or 5 ads up top. Now it has the local service ads. Some areas it has no ads. Some areas you'll see as many as 2. And then the map section is slowly being monetized in different areas across the country. So that is huge, just doing everything we can to really make sure we dominate the map section. We also do a lot with when people have searches, when people search, like, for example, you can search, why did my basement floor drain back up? And we're going to be number 1. We've also gone really hard with YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that fairly recently.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really our marketing plan is a two-headed monster, Rico, just to keep it simple. One is the residential piece, as you know, it's all digital. And we are committed to 100% being the best digital plumbing market company out there. And they meet weekly to make sure that they are, okay? Because that is one great thing about the digital space is that you can find out any piece of information you want and see where you rank against our competition. The other thing is the commercial side, and that's the relationship side. So we're really put probably, in my opinion, the best sales and marketing training plan out there for a restoration company on how to get commercial leads walking in the door. Because when we're averaging right now as a brand $26,000 a job on commercial. It's awesome. Okay. And as everybody knows, residential averages around 32 to 3,800, depending on, what your prices are in the marketplace. So those are really good, but the commercial, it's so much easier. You're doing about the same amount of work, it seems like, for the 26,000 to the, dollar job average than you are on the residential side. But you still want to do it. You want to keep your guys busy. So it's a two-headed approach.
I love it. So if someone's been listening to the show and they're like, wow, like this is amazing. I mean, proof's in the pudding. We've had a little bit of time between our first podcast, to this one. So we have even more so proof in the pudding that this is, real and that, people are benefiting from it, which is why I was so excited about having you guys back on the show, because I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into the business, the franchise, how it's impacting restoration business owners. Because, I mean, look, it's not easy. I mean, we all that have been in the business understand it's getting harder each and every single day, right? Whether that's insurance companies that are kicking your teeth in, because you're fighting for that one line item, which, you're sitting there saying like, really, like, this is what the business has come down to. Whether you're doing program work and you feel like it's just getting tougher, like as a restoration business owner, like you need to try to find new and creative ways to really expand your business. So maybe someone out there listening to the show is like, all right, you know what? Maybe One Tom Plumber is that bolt on to my existing business that can go ahead and give me the keys to additional profitability. And really, it's not going to eat up a whole lot of my time because they've got all of the back end already managed. If someone wanted to learn more, they wanted to reach out, they wanted to see what you guys are about and see if they qualify, see if you guys are a good fit, how and where would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. So you could go to our franchise website, and that's 1tpfranchise.com. You could also give me a call directly at my cell phone at 513-478-3300.
Awesome. Cool. And then what I'll do for those of you that are maybe listening to this, driving around in your trucks, don't worry about it. Just check out the video description below and or the show notes below. And I'm going to provide you with links directly to the website and Cameron's personal cell phone number. So you can send him some spicy pics if you'd like, if you find that to be correct. And you think that's going to capture his attention, watch you actually get pictures. It would be amazing. But outside of that, guys, do you have any closing thoughts, any closing comments for all the Dominators out there?
Well, one, you alluded to it a minute ago. One of the great things about commercial work and getting into that space is there are hardly any insurance related contacts. You're not having to fight with the insurance companies unless it's a $50,000 plus, maybe even $100,000. You're not even getting past their deductible. So we're just not dealing with the insurance companies on a day-to-day basis like we used to. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
So go ahead.
My final thoughts are, if you want more commercial water damage, you want a second source of income that has very high gross profit margins, and you want another business that you don't have to run on a day-to-day basis, pick up the phone and give me a call.
That's awesome. And for all those Dominators out there, I mean, listen, just, the model's always been simple, right? The whole premise of this show is to hustle, hack, dominate, right? It's all about, yes, you have to work hard. You have to get out there. You have to, but you have to hustle your way into finding the opportunities and the voids in the market, right? And hacking the process, right? What does that mean? It means trying to find easier, faster, more effective ways to getting you to your end goal. And then ultimately it's about dominating, right? You want to dominate your local space. And what better way to do so than to have your hands in all of the commercial cookie jars out there? Whenever your area is getting a call and they need emergency plumbing services, they're thinking about your organization, right? And then that can lead business back to your water mitigation company. Regardless of where you are right now, do you think that it might be possible? It might be possible that if all of a sudden you had all the commercial buildings in your general area starting to call you for their emergency plumbing services, that your mitigation company could totally dominate your local area? I personally think so. So without further ado, make sure that you go ahead and click the links below, check them out, see if it's a good fit, and make sure that you stay tuned for our next time that we have One Tom Plumber on and see what their additional growth has been. And until next time, hustle, hack, dominate. Talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to Restoration Domination, your #1 resource for tips, tricks, and hacks to help your business grow. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more Restoration Domination. And follow our host at Rico Garcia Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Till next time, this is Restoration Domination. Hustle, hack, dominate.